Let's get this phone and turn it off. Why did I do the barbershop video? I saw that people are dying and they've lived this whole life, experienced all these things. They've gone places, seen things, taken pictures of things, helped people. They've had their whole life, and in one moment, it's all forgotten. You know what got me was I don't even know my great-grandfather's name. I don't know my great-grandmother's name. My grandfather died when I was in second grade. I feel like I had a lot of memories with him. My family was divorced. My dad and my grandfather would come down and visit us and take us places for about a week. We went to Disney World and we'd go to like playgrounds and do, kid stuff. Like, man, my grandfather was in my life for quite a long time. I mean, they took more pictures with regular cameras than I have with my cell phone. Turning them all digital, man, it took me over a month to get every photo and turn it digital. I'm still not even done. In getting all those photos together, I saw a lot of pictures in the barbershop that was like, wow, I didn't know that used to be there. Oh yeah, I remember that chair used to be yellow. Oh, that's cool how that window used to be flat and so on. I knew small stories that the barbershop used to be called Charlie's Barbershop. That's why at the beginning of the video, I started with Charlie's Barbershop. It's got the little business card, which I thought was a really cool find. So I guess my dad joined my grandfather later on. He didn't want to work with my grandfather because he said my grandfather was living in the Stone Ages. So I'm guessing the barbershop was kind of run, I think the barbershop was kind of run old school, and my dad wanted to be hip, and he wanted to be, if anybody knows, he used to call himself like a stylist. My grandfather saw that he was getting older, and he says, hey son, why don't you come join the barbershop? When I die, you can take over. My dad said, I don't know. He said, look, if you come to the barbershop, I'll let you do anything you want. He said, all right, I want to change the name. You got it. The Royal Barber Service. My dad's personality is loud. I guess that's a nice way to say it. I don't know if that's how he always was or he developed into that, but I do know, listening to him talk about my grandfather and how he ran things and how my dad ran things, he's very competitive anyways. Yeah, because I know what it was like to work with him. Save that for therapy. They actually had a whole life before mine working together in that same barbershop. I mean, I've heard the stories, but I don't think I ever really put it together until I saw all these pictures. I feel like there's like thousands and thousands of pictures. Some of them were in these scrapbooks that were glued in. As I imported all the pictures, it started painting this picture of a life that went on way before I was even entered into this world. My dad, I think he cut hair for 64 years, something like that. And then my grandfather was cutting even before that. I guess when he came from Italy, he went to New York. And then from New York, he came over here, met my grandmother. My grandfather actually was cutting up and down the street. I guess it was an Italian neighborhood, so there was barbershops all over the place. He cut at this one, cut at this one, cut at this one. So I guess one day he finally said, hey, how about we turn this living room into a barbershop, and then we don't need the middleman. I'll be the man. Well, that was my paraphrase. He probably didn't say it like that, but I love entrepreneurs. I find it amazing that they took the initiative to start something and then turn it into something that generates an income. And the only people who really tell me what to do is the customer. And if you're making the customer happy, they'll return. So if you don't like the customer, don't make them happy. I first started off with the video because I wanted to have it with my grandfather. And then I showed a couple pictures of that. The music has this cool change. Boom, I bring my dad into the picture. Kind of has a transition with my grandfather and my dad. And then the music kind of changes again, and I show me as a child, which if you notice, I was like little bitty. I don't know how old that was, 2, maybe 3 years old in the barbershop getting my hair cut. When I saw that picture, it was like, wow, I have literally been in this barbershop my entire life. That's why later on, I started showing pictures of my brother, my grandmother getting a haircut in the barbershop. We used to come up and visit in the summer times, and the barbershop was like a big part of my life, and I didn't even really realize it until I started editing this video. But we used to be upstairs. My grandmother lived in the back, my dad lived upstairs, and the barbershop was kind of in the middle. So if I wanted to go from upstairs to downstairs for lunch, because my grandmother's cooked me, sometimes I'd poke my head into the barbershop. My dad would always say, "Hey son, come in, I want you to meet old Jimmy here." And I had no clue who Jimmy was. Shake his hand. I always wanted me to shake their hands. So I shake old Jimmy's hand, or whoever it was, and this is my son, blah, blah, blah. Tell him this and tell him that. And, I would meet people all the time. And then after we're done, all right, I'll talk to you later. I'm going back to eat. But Saturdays were the days. Saturdays were the days where you could go into the barbershop and there would be food there. There would be Dunkin' Donuts, coffees, donuts. One time we went in, there was pizza. People would just bring him stuff, muffins. I mean, it was like, who is this guy, As I was talking to Jason Meany, he was saying that when he was a kid, my dad would come to him and say, hey Jason, go down to Dunkin' Donuts and pick me something up. Give him $20, whatever, how much it was. He said, keep the change. I used to love running errands for my dad, because he'd give you the money to go buy whatever he wanted you to buy, but he'd let you keep the change. Sometimes the thing would cost $5, give you $10, you get to keep $5. So that was pretty cool. The reason I wanted to put the video together was because I see that a lot of the people in the pictures are getting older. I wanted them to be able to enjoy like this history, or as another customer said, this time capsule of this moment in history where all the stars and the moons aligned, where my grandfather made this shop, my dad took over the shop, and now I'm in the shop. All three were different. And if you notice the video, when I came into the barbershop, my dad was so happy and so proud. My grandfather was so proud of my dad. My dad was so proud of me. And then when I came in, I brought Chewy in. Everybody in the barbershop, when Chewy came, Chewy was a little chihuahua. When Chewy came into the barbershop, everybody was like, hey, I want to take a picture with Chewy, because I was building the website. We never had a website before. My dad was all excited about the website. So people say, hey, I want to be on the website with Chewy. Grown men wanting to take pictures with this little chihuahua. I remember this one guy, he would come into the barbershop and he would say, he was like, where's Chewy? Chewy would come in, he's like, oh, Gucci, 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 Goo. I just love you so much. I was like, this little chihuahua is like famous, people would say, you ought to make a website for him. He ought to have his own website. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. People are going to start questioning my manhood if I do that. But anyways, that kind of changed up everything. People wanted to come just to see Chewy. Christmas. I love the photos of Christmas. I actually wish there was more. I kind of took it for granted that how big my dad made Christmas. He had the cheese and the crackers and the booze, and as they called it, the hairy cheese and crackers, of course. You had to be careful. I thought it was so cool how he decorated everything. He had stuff everywhere, and towards the end he was like, hey son, I think he got tired of decorating, because it's a lot of work to get all that silliness on the windows. He was like, son, you do such a better job. And at first I fell for it. I was like, okay, yeah, I do a pretty good job. Next thing I know, I'm doing it every year. But he loved all of that stuff on the windows. He just loved Christmas. He loved the whole atmosphere. He just loved, as he said it, they take care of him really well. And he says it's his time where he wants to give back. So he just loved pouring drinks and making his famous butter balls. He would love to make you cheese and crackers too, which good luck to you, because I never cared for the fact that he would be cutting hair, go and make the cheese and crackers, and here's the cheese and crackers, and go back to cutting hair. I'm like, thanks, but no thanks. But for all of you who took that cheese and cracker, more power to you. I wanted to try to make the video as much as possible around barbering. There was a couple photos of me, my brother, being cut at the house, where he would come down to visit us, and he would bring his tools and cut our hair at the house in the kitchen. There's a photo of him going to Dominic, his best man's house. He would cut people's hair at schools. I believe it's in New York. He would go to nursing homes. If somebody was in the hospital, sometimes he'd go cut their hair. And he visited people in the hospital, which at first it's so weird, because I was like, why is he doing all of this extra work? If they want the haircut, you come here, you cut their hair. But what I didn't realize is you're one-on-one with somebody for years. I mean, years. Some of these guys have been coming to the barbershop for 50 years. And a lot of them, and many times there's one-on-one conversations. And in that one-on-one conversation, you really get to know who that person is. They're not just that's a customer. No, this is a person with a life, with good times and bad times and ups and downs. They're getting married, they're going through divorces. You get to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly of every customer. And it becomes more than just a customer. It becomes like a family, like an extended family member, where you literally hurt when they're hurting. You're happy when they're happy. When they get that job promotion, we have talked about how to get that job promotion, what to say, what not to say, what you should wear, what you should not wear. Most people come and get a haircut right before something amazing in their life, like weddings, first dates. I've literally given people advice before their first date. And of course, I tell myself before I sleep at night that if it wasn't for my advice and my wonderful haircut, they would not be married today. But I don't know if that works. You know their pets. You know when their pet is sick. You know when they have cancer. You know when they're dying. You know when they've had a child. Pictures of places that you never have seen before or ever even thought about visiting, that now after you've seen the picture, you're like, man, I want to visit there too. And then this person comes in and they tell you something extremely private. You take that to the grave. There's that, it's like the priest, man. The confessional. That's what a lot of times it's like, the confessional, and some people tell me that it's like therapy, that they're getting a haircut and therapy for a low price. I see why my dad took pictures and wanted video of a lot of the customers, because they were like an extended family. And I'm pretty sure there's not a lot of people who actually got to see that side of them. I mean, you've got CEOs running companies. You've got business people who are in charge of 50 to 100 people, and they have to be real stern and real firm. But underneath this cape, as I've seen, underneath this cape, they're human now. Like everybody else might look at them and say, if I act bad around this person, I could lose my job, or I can't say, whatever, or I don't know anything about them except they give me a check and I don't want to make them upset. For me, they're coming to me for a service, and I get to actually see the person. There's some really great people out there. There's a lot that I get to see that most people don't get to see in the barbershop, underneath that cape. cutting hair for me was, it wasn't the thing that I've always wanted to do. Matter of fact, when I joined the shop, I really want to say that I hated it. But my personality type, I really like the interactions with people. So in the barbershop, somebody comes in there, they're having issues, we talk about it, we get things in order, we figure things out together. And when they leave, not only are they looking good, but they're feeling good. I hated what I did because I thought there was no purpose. Cut their hair, the hair grows, they come back. I cut the hair grows, they come back. So when I found out that I could actually talk to people with this one-on-one therapy session, and they would leave sometimes a better person or their spirits lifted, I felt better about myself. I felt like I had purpose. I noticed there's certain people that would come in that I would say, man, I can't wait for them to come back because I can't wait to find out if it worked, And sometimes they'd come back in, it didn't work so well, we'd tweak it, and they'll go out and they'd fix it and come back the next time and say, it worked. I've had kids come in here who have been sitting on the chair and the little booster chair, and now I see them going to middle school, and then when they come into the barbershop pulling up with their car because they just got their license, you're like, man, I am old. Really cool stuff seeing that. I like the fact that you grow with this customer. They become an extended piece of the family where cousins, brothers, sisters, uncles, grandpas, it's pretty cool. I've even got people who bring their dogs in here. So the reason I put the video together was because I saw that history was going to be forgotten, and I didn't like that. And I noticed that there was only 3 or 4 people who even really knew that my grandfather used to cut hair, and he's forgotten now. And I noticed that when my dad died that he started getting forgotten, and they talked about me as the barber, but I'm thinking, man, my dad's the guy, I'm just in his shoes, and if I don't put this video together within a couple years or who knows how long, he's going to be forgotten. So I just don't want that. And even Chewy's going to be forgotten. Chewy was a big part of my introduction to the barbershop. It was just bringing Chewy along with me, I wanted to put this video together to keep all of the memories of the barbershop alive and not forgotten. And if I didn't do it, these pictures could easily be thrown out. Their whole life thrown in the trash and forgotten. I don't know why it just breaks me. Their whole life is forgotten. And it goes back to me not even knowing my great-grandfather's name, my great-grandmother's name. I mean, how did I get here and not know any of them? And just all of it's gone. And I saw that's what was going to happen in the barbershop if I didn't put this video together. It's only a small video, but at least the history, some of the memories will not be forgotten. And it helps me sleep better at night. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you didn't, don't worry about it. I made it for myself anyways, because I don't want to forget. I want to be able to pass it down to the next generation and say, hey, this was my grandfather, this was my dad, this was me, this was our period of time, this is where we existed, this is where the sun, the moon, and the stars lined up to make this happen, and here it is. I don't want to be forgotten. I don't want you to be forgotten. I don't want the shop to be forgotten. So, yeah.